Yay.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this special episode of Disrupt Your Now. We are meeting at 3:30 in the afternoon because my guest, Perry, is in Finland. But I want to, before we get started, I want to say for people who are not familiar with my show, this show is for people who are sick and tired of checking off the boxes and they want to create their own boxes to check off, take control of their life. So today, we have Dr. Octopus, Perry Knoppert, who is the founder of the Octopus Movement, which is a global group of nonlinear thinkers. Welcome to the show, Dr. Octopus.
Yay. Thank you, Lisa. And I'm not in Finland. I have to say immediately, I'm not in Finland. I'm in Amsterdam in the Netherlands. It's Europe. But maybe I look Finnish or something like that.
I don't
or
know
my
why I
accent
thought you were in Finland.
like
What the hell?
Finnish.
I'm sorry. I don't know where
No,
I
it's
got
okay.
that
I
from.
thought it was funny.
That's my crazy brain. So, and for y'all that don't
How
know, who don't know,
nonlinear, Lisa?
Yes. As one of my friends says, I have a spicy brain. That's what
that
she
sounds
calls
good.
her. Spicy brain, yeah. So for those of y'all who don't know me that well, I'm also a member of the Octopus Movement. So, Dr. Octopus, introduce yourself to the audience and give us a bit about your background and how you got to where you are today, and then we'll really get going.
Cool. Well, okay. I didn't invent the name Dr. Octopus. That's Howard in South Africa who did that. He was writing about me on LinkedIn, about me, Perry Knoppert, the founder of the Octopus Movement. And I created the Octopus Movement because I just love crazy misfits. I just love people that are different. I think it's fascinating, it's inspiring, it's what I am myself. I've always been weird and I'm still a bit weird. And just a few years ago, I decided this is enough. I'm going to create a global movement and to create awareness on how awesome these weird, out of the box thinkers, these people who do things differently, they're so cool. And we need to create some more awareness about these cool people because they don't fit in the box. And that's why I started the Octopus Movement. And I have to explain why the octopus, of course, as well.
Yeah.
I was talking to a group of people, multi-potentialites on Clubhouse. This was in the pandemic, so we were all on Clubhouse, and I was the multi-potentialite expert, and I was talking to a group of multi-potentialites, and I said, I have a difficulty with the label multi-potentialite because as someone who's interested in everything, it's difficult to stick to one label. So there's something weird in using the word multi-potentialite. I said, so what we have in common is that we're all curious misfits in a way. And what is the symbol for that? I was looking for the symbol just for the fun of it because I was curious. And then someone said, well, I always send an octopus emoji. And someone else, Haley in South Africa, said, have you seen my octopus teacher? And I watched it the same evening. What a beautiful documentary. It really inspired me. And I thought, this is it. I need to create the Octopus Movement because I can relate to that octopus. 3 hearts, 9 braids, 8 arms. It's what I am as well. The 3 hearts in the sensitivity, the 9 brains in learning fast, combining everything, and 8 arms. Well, you understand the 8 arms, of course, and then all the suckers, and we change shape and color, and I can relate to that. So that's why I created the Octopus Movement, and that's why Howard started calling me Dr. Octopus, and I thought,
I love
that's
it.
the fabulous
name. It
name.
encapsulates everything. And for people out there who don't really know that much about the octopus, not the Octopus Movement, but the actual creature, the octopus, go out and learn about it, and then you will understand why this is called the Octopus Movement. There's a really good article online, I cannot remember the name of it, about an octopus that was at, I think it was like Monterey, California, in the aquarium. It was some aquarium like that, and this reporter started going in and writing about it, and they became really good friends, and it was just so touching. Have you read that, Perry? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think it's linked as well to the book of Simon Montgomery about the oh god, I forgot the title. The Consciousness of an Octopus or something like that. Such
Yeah.
a beautiful book, and I think it's related to that article.
It
Simon
probably
Montgomery.
is. I need to
Beautiful book.
I'll
Beautiful.
add the links in the comments after this because it is just so touching. But so, yeah, the thing is, we grow up and we feel so weird and we hop from thing to thing to thing. And I can relate to you hopping from thing to thing to thing because when I was younger, every year and a half to 2 years, I switched jobs, switched careers, did whatever. And but then I started my business in '96 and I've been doing it ever since. But that's because I can change it all the time. You know, since I'm in control, I do what I want.
Well, and that's what I was interviewed by a journalist at Forbes magazine. And she also said, well, a lot of entrepreneurs are octopuses, of course, because that's what we need to do. We can't stick in one box.
Yeah.
We need to do all these different things. And that's what you're doing when you're a founder of a startup or you are a business owner or you're a freelancer. You're combining all these things and you love doing that. You don't want to be just at one place doing the same thing over and over and looking at the same data sheet or Excel sheet for 30 years and that's your job. These entrepreneurs just love to explore and do everything. And I love that about my job as the founder and CEO of a global movement. I'm doing everything, so it's never a dull moment and everything is exciting and I can change this and I can change that. And now I'm using everything that I've built up in my career. And before that, I had a headhunter who I was talking to her, and she looked at my resume, and she said, "It's impossible to place you at a good job because your resume looks like shit. It's who are you? I'm nothing. I've done so many things. I lived in China. I created a TV show. I was a radio host." But I also sold animal nutrition to Chinese farmers. It all doesn't make any sense, It's all these different things. But today, I'm using everything that I've done so far in the job that I have now. And I did a hard reset 3 years ago because I was sick and tired pretending to be one specialist, and I had all these expectations of myself. And I thought I don't want to be an entrepreneur anymore. I just want to be an artist. I consider this as an art to do what I'm doing, creating a movement, creating these projects, creating an art book with 398 nonlinear thinkers in it, creating art exhibitions, creating new ways of thinking, white papers. It's awesome. It's good to be an octopus.
It is good to be an octopus. And, I have a lot of young people that come to me and they go, I can't decide what I want to do, what I want to be when I grow up. I don't know what to study. And I'm like, stop worrying about it. Figure out something you like. Figure out something that you're interested in learning more about. Study that. Then if you want to study something else, do that. But stop worrying about it because most people, even people with advanced degrees, by the time they're 40-ish, they're not working in their field anyway, the field that they were formally educated in. I mean, like my degree is in accounting, Perry. And
really?
I passed the CPA exam and I'm like, I don't want to be a freaking accountant,
No.
and didn't take me long to figure out I didn't want to do that, but I still didn't know what I want to do. But do you have a lot of young people come to you frustrated like that?
Yeah, because I teach at schools as well about nonlinear thinking.
Okay.
And it's fascinating. And I was with a group of kids, 9 years old, 10 years old, and I asked them, what do you want to do when you grow up? What's the job you want to do? And I always love that when they answer that. These little arms go up. Oh, I want to tell. I want to be this, or I want to be that, or I want to be that. And one girl said, I want to be a dancer or an artist or a vet. And I said, well, you can do all three at the same time. And this was a 9-year-old, little ponytails and very, very elegant and everything. And said, no, that's not true. I said, yes, it's true. She said, no, it's not true. So this 9-year-old was telling me that it's not true. And that's the proof of how ridiculous the linear system is.
Yeah.
Because even a 9-year-old is already locked up in that space thinking, I can only do one thing. and it's impossible to do all three of them.
Mm-hmm.
She was really fighting me. Like, you're totally wrong. And I was laughing, and I said, no, you can do everything. I said, no. But then I have, I showed the nonlinear thinkers in the world. I have all these famous people, and I show them to her. I was like, who is this? And do you know what they're doing and how many jobs they have and how many different things they're doing? And she was like, oh, shit. Maybe
Yeah.
he's right.
And she did say shit, right?
I hope so. I don't think so, because she was so so elegant and so decent.
Oh,
Everything was just so perfect on her. Yeah. So I love that. I love teaching at schools. I love talking about nonlinear thinking, especially at school, because school is so freaking linear. It destroys everything we have in our out of the box thinking.
Yeah.
And they're not doing it on purpose, but that's just how the system works, right?
Right.
You go to school, you be there at some time, and then you do your exams, and you need to pass, and you need to have your grade, and of course it works that way.
Mm-hmm.
But we forget there's something else as well. And it's like what Picasso said, everybody's an artist, and then you go to school and they kick the artist out of your system,
Mm-hmm.
and it's gone. And that's the same thing what happens at education and other linear things. It destroys our thinking. We're thinking too much, even, right?
Yeah.
It's an ability to just say, forget about the thinking and just go with the flow.
Right.
It's so difficult for so many people. If you look at the bell curve, 80%.
I was going to say the bell curve there.
The bell curve. I love the bell curve. The bell curve. So we're in the fringes, Lisa.
Mm-hmm.
We're on the outer fringe, 20%. Yay, that's
Mm-hmm.
awesome. And then these 80% is neurotypical, healthy, normal, linear. Well, some people disagree on that one. That the 80% is not healthy at all. And
I'd rather be on the fringes.
I love to be on the fringes, but it can be difficult. And I will tell you why it's difficult. Because we understand what linear thinking is. We went to school. We know how it works. And we do that. I use linear thinking in creating the global movement. Otherwise, there's no global movement.
Right.
My Excel sheets, my data sets, and everything. And I work in a linear way as well. But my creativity is that empty space of nonlinear thinking. Mm-hmm. So I know both worlds. The problem lies with a lot of linear thinkers that don't understand the nonlinear space.
Yeah.
And they can be, sorry guys, but very judgmental to us. Like, oh, you're crazy and it's all wrong. You need to focus. One of the favorite things for me to detect a very linear thinker is when they're saying to you, you know what, you need to focus. So if someone says to you, you need to focus, then that's probably a linear thinker talking to a nonlinear thinker.
Yeah.
And it's not that I'm against linear thinking, but it's important to recognize what's going on and to create a balance. And I think linear thinkers should learn a little bit more about the empty space of the nonlinear mind, where lies a lot of creativity and a lot of interesting areas that can help us, people, humanity, to grow and to make beautiful things. And I even think that linear thinking is in chapter 11 now. I think it's, especially in combination with AI, I think linear thinking is dying at this moment. And then don't come to me, linear thinkers, all crying in a year or 2 years, oh, I lost my job and everything is horrible and the world is going down. No, it's, you need that adaptability in your brain. We need creativity. We need out of the box thinking to combine that with AI, for example, and create beautiful things that we will benefit all of us together. That's awesome. But I think linear thinking is in chapter 11.
Yeah, I agree with you, because it's, I don't know if I'm going to say this right, but it's easier to teach linear thinking, the processes. And I know I use that part of my brain like you do, the accounting and the coding. And I'm really good at logic, like figuring out why, debugging, whatever. I don't really do that anymore, but I used to. So I'm really good at that stuff. But do I want to do it all the time? Hell no.
No.
And when I was younger, I used to be like, what is wrong with me? I have a great degree. I have this license. I have this, that, and the other. And I don't want to do it. I hate it. I don't care how much money I can make. But it is also really hard when everybody that that you went to school with or whatever, and you're in a similar field, and you look, and not that I wanted their jobs, but I would look at myself and I'd be like, well, I'm such a loser. Why can't I figure it out? And
you're playing a different game, right?
yeah.
And I think that, so we know what the linear world is, but we can't stick there all the time. And I think it's because our brains are wired in a different way. Some call it neurodiversity. I just call it nonlinear thinking. I don't have to put a label on it, but I did discover that when you're wired in a different way and you have ADHD, I have ADHD, I have dyslexia, and God knows what else that I have. And so I can't help myself to go to that nonlinear space, even though I want to work in a linear space. I just can't help myself. And I think a lot of neurotypical people are just okay to be in that linear space. And it's also, I think, because of fear, it restrains them to be in that box, and they're okay. I've this beautiful book of Enrich Fromm, The Fear of Freedom. We need people are afraid of true freedom, right? And the linear thinking helps you to be less fearful because it's all organized.
Right. It helps you feel like you're in control.
Yeah, which is bullshit, of course. It's the biggest bullshit there is, because I think nonlinear thinkers are more in control because we see everything.
Right.
And we allow not to be in control. That's why we are totally in control. Because we can rely on all the things that we combine with each other to be everywhere, and then you don't have to be in control anymore. So I think that fear is very interesting, why people like to be in that linear space where everything is planned out. You go to college, you get your good grades, you get your job, good for you. I have nothing against that. You have your spouse, you have your 2.5 kids, you have your car, your golden retriever. Fuck yes, it's everything is there, and you're fine. But then I'm thinking, why is there so much anxiety in the world?
Right.
Maybe it's not fine, but for quite a few people, it's fine. So that's my crazy nonlinear brain.
Well, I had a senior executive tell me one time, we were talking about education, and I am not against higher education or any of that, but, we were talking about it is not for everybody, and everybody needs to find their own path. And he goes, well, it shows that you're able to set a goal and follow through. And I'm
that's a very linear answer. Yeah. No. Okay. Fine. Yeah. But that's
stupid. I'm like, so all the kids or people that are out there doing their own thing and creating things and inventing them, they're not able to set a goal and follow through just because it's not this boring path. I was stunned. I was like, do you understand how odd that is? But
and then Lisa, look at the beautiful people in the world who are making a difference. Look at the people that we're all celebrating because we're buying their art, or we're listening to their music, or we're looking at them at the screen because they're amazing actors. Very nonlinear people,
right?
Jim Carrey, Jesus, I don't even have to explain. And we all celebrate him, and we all love watching his movies, seeing him in action. And yet we say it's good to follow that path, and you have good grades and everything in line. And no.
Well,
no.
and
if you do, fine, but you don't have to.
That's right. If you want to do that, that's fine. But don't feel bad about yourself if you don't want to do it. Explore. I didn't really start understanding myself until I was probably mid-30s. I'm 62 now. I probably was like my mid-30s before I started kind of understanding why I think like I do, and what I even like and don't like, and why I like it and don't like it. And that was more about what's inside of you, because people think, oh, what do I like? And they're thinking externally, what do they like? But you have to understand yourself inside to know what you really like and don't like and why that
and
is.
who you are. And by the way, you're not 62, Lisa.
Yeah, I am.
No, it's impossible. Maybe that's also the secret of good looking. The nonlinear brain keeps you young.
Maybe. No, I had my 62nd birthday on May 10th. So yes,
really?
I am. And I'm proud of it.
Wow.
And the reason I say my age is because I get so tired of people being ashamed of how old they are. And I tell them, okay, if you could make yourself younger, which years of your life are you willing to give up to be that age?
Go back.
And then they're like, ooh, I don't want to. I'm like, well, you know. So, but I digress. You know, I have my cousin, I guess he's 19 now. He's in my last book, Disruptor Now. He's one of the 50 entrepreneurs featured. He's on the spectrum, and he started a business when he was like 14 accidentally. He was doing lawn work for his dad, and everything was so perfect because he views landscaping and yard work. He says it's like creating lawn art. Anyway, he did such a good job. All the neighbors came wanting to know, who is doing your lawn? And they fired all their professional.
Isn't that cool?
Accidentally, all of a sudden, he has this really thriving business, and he had all this money socked away in his bedroom because the only money he spends is on like these humongous Lego things. Anyway, fast forward, he just finished his first year of college, but he's going to a school that has a curriculum specifically for nonlinear thinkers. And it's so exciting to see him thriving. And he did an internship with a marketing firm about a year ago, and he created a video for them. It blew them away because they're like, oh my God, you did like 10 or whatever, 15 things in this video that people who go to school and study for 4 or 5 years still are not able to incorporate into videos. It just blew them away. But it's just because he's so interested. And that's what we do, right, Perry? When we're interested in something, we totally immerse ourselves.
Fuck yes, we go for it. And it's that striving and not masking. I think that's why it's so important to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Thriving, doing really what you need to do rather than masking, trying to fit in. Well, you're not, being canceled because you're weird, because you don't fit in. No, you want to thrive and you want to be doing the things you want to do and what you're good at, and you want to be happy doing that, and it serves also other people. So why not? And
exactly.
Why not is easy, because you don't have to follow the lines. You don't.
Right. Yeah, somebody just commented, what if is a beautiful space to live in? And that's the 3 questions that I always make my clients ask themselves. Why not, and what if? Yeah. Why are you even doing the thing that you're doing? And Lisa,
is it also in understanding your own brain? Because that's something I often look at as well, is to truly understand your own thinking. Marlana.
It was Marlena and she's the one that introduced us, right?
She is?
I believe so. Last year and a half ago, I think it was Marlene. I'm not positive, but I believe so.
Yeah.
So yeah. But yeah, so I find it very interesting, and I think people can take heart from this, that you founded the Octopus Movement when you were at one of the lowest points of your life, right? And now look what you're creating and how beautiful it is and how many thousands of people it's affecting all over the world. People like us, but also outside of us because of the think tanks that you're making available to companies and so forth.
Yeah, and also for parents to understand their children better.
Yeah.
Indeed, we have a global think tank. I love that, to have nonlinear thinkers from all over the world together. And we've created a system that works very well for us nonlinear thinkers. And it goes fast. It goes really fast. We do 1 hour one day, another an hour, another day. We combine everything. We write a white paper. Check out on the website, theoctopusmovement.org. Look at the think tank, and you have Rethinking Intelligence. It's such an amazing white paper where we dove into what does intelligence mean and how we should look at it in a different way. And it's just awesome. And now we have sponsorship packages for the global movement, so companies can dive and connect into that global nonlinear brain that is available, where people from all over the world will think with you to solve problems you have within your company, or challenges, or you want to create something new. And it's awesome. And this is what we're celebrating, these nonlinear awesome brains.
That is awesome. And the fact that you have those sponsorships and the companies can come in and take advantage of this mycelium that you have assembled and are continuing to assemble and expand is such an opportunity for them, because most of them have no clue how to hire nonlinear thinkers, but because they literally cannot understand them. And so they don't know how to understand them. So how the hell can they interview them and select the right person? So by them partnering with the Octopus Movement, they are able to come to a buffet of nonlinear thinkers and
just, just touch the water, speak the language, feel the vibration, see whatever is happening without hiring nonlinear. And I get it, when you're a big company, you want to structure everything and your managers want to be in control, and you don't want to have 80% of nonlinear thinkers in your company. It's going to be one big fucking mess. It's going to be crazy, right? I get it. You need to manage that. But how cool is it to say, okay, this topic, this is exciting, but we need to have really an out-of-the-box experience. And people, please, I hate that. I've seen that so many times in companies. They hire someone and they will book the meeting room for a Friday afternoon. And then the consultant comes in and they're going to do an out-of-the-box session. Well, shoot me, that's not out of the box. You're still in the box with a bunch of linear people putting Post-its on the wall. And then you think you will create new ideas that are out of the box, and to create innovation and something really magnificent. You need someone in Bangladesh and in South Africa and Korea, Japan, all working together with crazy brains that are all wired in a different way. And in the end, we're all humans. We were just talking about this in our think tank. Someone also said, isn't this cool? Look at our think tank. We were there with 18 people, all 18 completely different culture, different background, different education, different everything. Everything is different. And still, we're all humans. And we're all thinking, and we're all thinking together, how can we do this? And you get all these different insights. And then we translate that and give that back to the company. It's awesome. And we can change lives with that.
We sure can. And it's inevitable that if you put more than one brain together, and especially more than two, you are going to come up with ideas that you never would have if it's one person or two or whatever. And even my own brain, I laugh to myself because I feel like it's like a pinball machine. Because something comes in, somebody says one thing, and already in my brain, it's like, and I can hear the things bouncing and the lights going off. So that's just one person. So when you put 8 or 10 or 15 or 20 brains like that together, I'm sure a linear person thinks there's no way anything could ever get done because everybody's crazy. But it's amazing.
That's true. Well, that's true. But we used some linear systems and we tweaked them. And made them sustainable with the nonlinear mind. And it's little nuances to change that and to make it together. And how, I still don't know, but it's an interesting story that I did a consultancy thing with a consultant. He came in and they did their thing, and I was so annoyed, Lisa. I felt that I was back at school. I had to be creative. That was the example for me. It's Friday afternoon, we're doing this now, and now be creative. And I was like, everything was on lockdown. I was not creative at all. And I thought, this is not the system we're using. And the system we're using now is our own system Very straightforward, very simple. And I just pressed the button, and within an hour, we did a think tank last week for Nobody Studios. It's an investment studio in California, and they created Cat GPT. So not Chat GPT, but Cat GPT. If you go to Cat GPT, cat-gpt.com, you can talk to a cat, and you get back meow 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 and a cat gif. It's hilarious. And they came to us and they said, okay, we have 1 million users already. Now what? What are we doing with the cat? How are we going to help the cat? Any ideas? So we did the think tank, and we just did 1 hour, and we had 320 ideas.
Wow.
Structured in a system in 1 hour. Bam, next.
Darn, I'm sad I missed that. I missed it. I was traveling, but I've been on some of the calls with them, and that's an amazing company. I love it.
Yeah, me too. They do such a good work. And I also, you talked about the mycelium. I need to explain that for people who are thinking, are these guys in mushrooms as well? No, we're not. I think language is very linear. And I'm always very sensitive in words and how we use words. So someone said to me in the beginning when I just created the Octopus Movement, oh, you're creating a community. And for me, immediately when I heard the word community, I was like, I don't know, there's something wrong with it. And I couldn't figure it out what it was, but I was just not using that word. And I was watching a documentary from Paul Stamets about mushrooms, and he was talking about the mycelium, the mycelial network of mushrooms and trees under the ground. It's like a network as neurons in your head, and it's all connected and it's taking care of each other. And I thought, that's what I'm creating. Because for me, a community is a room with a door. You enter the community, you go in, or you leave the community. Those are the two things you do. And with the mycelium, you connect to the mycelium, and magic starts to happen because you're connected to some other elements as well, and we're helping each other and we're inspiring each other, and it's just growing naturally. And that's why I call it the mycelium. I love that word.
I love it too. And I know exactly what you mean with the trees and the fungus, because like we have these huge mushrooms that started growing out of one of our trees that's probably like 100 years old. I'm like, what is that? It's these humongous mushrooms. And then I read that, that means that you're, there's a health decline. It's an old tree, blah, blah, blah. But how it goes down into the roots and spreads to others. And it made me sad because I don't want to lose the tree. But at the same time, I was like, God, it's crazy to think about all that stuff that's going on. It's
cool, huh?
Yes,
it's fascinating. It's fascinating. And I think we do sometimes forget that we're all nature. And I always laugh when people say, I'm going to nature, and they take the car and they drive into nature. And I'm thinking, we are nature. We are nature here as well. When we're doing this interview and live on the internet, we are nature. We are in nature. And it's so linear and it's so systematic thinking to go constantly into that system thinking rather than we're humans and we're connecting. Even now here, Lisa, between you and I, we're connected. I'm looking at my laptop and still I can feel that connection, although it goes into a dark fiber optic cable through the ocean to connect internet together, and it's ones and but still I can see you, can hear you, and I feel that connection. Awesome. It's amazing.
It is. And back, I'm not sure exactly when this is, I guess early 90s, I took my kids to an IMAX movie, and it was about people living in outer space, and they had all these different pods and people, and this kid was like, and this is really before we were really into the internet and stuff, even though I started developing sites in 95. So it must have been before that. I don't know. But anyway, so this little girl is like, I'm going to go play with my friends. And she went into a room and there was a big screen and they're all playing at their screens. And at first it felt sad to me, because I wasn't used to it, because they couldn't be there with each other. And it's so funny because I have friends all over the world like you. Probably half the people in my book are in other countries. And it's just so amazing how everything has opened up. But a funny thing about like when people were really first starting to adopt the web and stuff, my kids were really little. And of course, we had America Online then because that's what everybody thought.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Everybody thought the internet was. And so all these kids in their neighborhood were playing at my house because they used to love to come to our house. They're all at our house playing, and all of a sudden they go, let's go get on AOL. And they're like, phew, and they all went to their individual houses and got in this big chat room. And it was so funny that, that they were there together, but they wanted to go do this new thing together.
Exactly. And now something big is happening as well with AI, right? It's incredible how fast things are going and how linear AI is and how fascinating it is to make a combination between a crazy, adaptable, different thinking brain in combination with AI. Well, that's firework, I think.
Yeah, it is. It's really exciting. And the people who are afraid of nonlinear thinkers or think that we're just crazy and we have nothing to bring to the table or whatever, or companies that are afraid of working with them, think about all the things that have changed the world the most. And it's all nonlinear thinkers that are behind them. Because linear thinkers, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not being mean. Linear thinkers have their place and they bring value, but they're not able to create and come up with these totally new ideas that nonlinear thinkers are able to.
Yeah, and another thing, Lisa, when you're saying this, I have to think about introvert versus extrovert.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of introvert people who are not introvert by choice,
right.
Meaning they're not really introvert, but they became introvert because of trauma, upbringing, shit that happened in their lives, and now they become introvert. Like, I just keep it to myself, and that's it. I see that as well with linear, nonlinear thinkers. I see that as well with a lot of linear thinkers who are nonlinear, but are only in that linear space.
Yeah.
And maybe that also explains a little bit the anxiety and the difficulties.
Mm-hmm.
They want to break free of that, but this is what they're trained to be at.
Yeah.
And I strongly believe, and some people disagree with me, that we're all nonlinear thinkers. Because the moment you're born, you're very nonlinear.
Yeah.
And then you go into systematic thinking and whatnot. But basically, inside of you, you are very nonlinear. And if you can enter that space, it's awesome. So, and I think we need to go there because we've created AI that will create something else that makes the typical linear specialist, maybe not that important anymore. So we need to find new places. And I think finding new places is possible with these beautiful people, these nonlinear minds who can inspire people that are very much in a linear space to use their own nonlinear thinking that is there, to use that and to explore and to be more adaptable, I think.
Yeah. And it's so fun to help people do that. That's actually one of the things that I do, especially with two kinds of people, either who have been involuntarily retired or laid off or anything, and they don't know what to do next. And they're afraid that they can't get a job because they're older or whatever, or people who have retired but don't want to be retired, people who want to continue learning and doing something. And so I work with a lot of people like that to help them figure out what their next act is, and I help them delve into their own brains to kind of go back, let yourself be a child again, and, open yourself up to possibilities and what you might want to do that you never would have dreamed of doing.
Do they have something in common, Lisa? If you look at people that are in retirement and we're saying, that's nice that I'm retired now, but I just want to continue or explore something else. Is that a specific kind of people, or do they have something in common, or
the main thing that they have in common is curiosity and wanting to continue to learn. because I don't really enjoy working with people who just want to do it because they want to make more money. That's kind of defeats the purpose. So yeah, the people that I most enjoy working with are people that know there's so much out there and there's so much to learn. And why do you want to sit there and not learn it? And my parents divorced when I was, I don't know, I guess it was like 22 or what, and they remained friends. But one time my sisters and I were talking after we became adults. I mean, I was probably 30s, late 30s, maybe 40. And we were talking about, wonder what attracted them to each other in the first place. Because, we only know our parents as our parents. We don't know them as young people. And I said, it finally dawned on me, I think one of the things that really attracted them to each other was their curiosity. They both were so curious. My dad was blind and he was a musician. And my mother was just this sweet, beautiful, giving, lovely person. But to their deaths, they both were so curious. For example, when I was in high school, we first started having migrant workers in the area that I grew up in, which is actually where I live in again now, but it's a tobacco farming area. And we first started having migrant workers from Mexico, and a lot of people were like, oh, migrants. And my parents were the opposite. They wanted to meet them. They wanted to learn from them. And my sister and I were fluent in Spanish because my sister was studying it in college and I took 3 years in high school. So we got to know this group of migrant workers, and we would have them to our house on Sundays, and Daddy and they would play music together, and we would cook American food and they would cook Mexican food. And then other weekends we would go to where they were living on the farm. And it was so cool because they felt accepted and appreciated, and they were learning, but my parents were learning. And Mama taught her, she would write them letters in the wintertime and get my sister to help her, to check it, proof it, and make sure she was doing it right. And just think if everybody could be like that,
Can you imagine if the world would be just more curious and that we allow that curiosity to be there? There would be so much less judgmental state of mind, and when everybody's just curious and opens up their thinking and wondering off why things are as they are, and be curious, sincerely curious in the others. What a beautiful world we live in then. Right.
And then if you think about it, kind of, there's curiosity over here and there's fear over here. You need to be able to let go of the fear to open up your curiosity.
Yeah, because if there's fear, forget about the curiosity, right? If you're scared as hell, you're not thinking, oh, that's fascinating. When you're really scared of being, not in a safe space, or you think it's scared because other people will take your freedom away, and you're scared of that, then there's no room for curiosity, and that's wrong. It should be a slogan or something. Be curious, not afraid. Make love, not war. That's a better one. Be curious and not afraid.
So, Perry, what's some of your favorite things that you've done with the Octopus Movement since you started it?
Oh, shit, that's a good question. Wow, never thought of that. I think what I like the most is that we don't have any rules. We don't have any plans. So I remember so well in the beginning, some people were saying to me, so what's the business plan? What's the blueprint? What are you doing? And I always said, I don't know what I'm doing. I want to see how this evolves organically by just connecting these beautiful nonlinear minds together. And then we will figure it out. And if we see that something is working, then we will start using that as a system to continue, like what we have with the think tank. What we do with teachers and go to schools and talk about education and all the art projects. It's working, and therefore we start using systems, not the other way around. And I think it goes wrong sometimes in that area with people who are becoming an entrepreneur, they think they need to start with the system and then convince other people and sell it to other people to be successful. But if you turn that around, and if you start with the people first, and you discover how it moves by itself organically, then you can use that and build a system around that to harvest that, to capture that, to take care of that, and continue and grow. And I think that's the most beautiful thing of the movement. There are no rules, and everybody's connected, and everybody knows who everybody is, and we're helping each other out. And one of the coolest things are the founding members. I remembered so well in the beginning. I saw this TED talk of Barbara Sher with the title "Isolation is a Dream Killer," and I thought it was so cool. Look it up, YouTube. "Isolation is a Dream Killer," Barbara Sher. And Barbara Sher wrote the book "Refuse to Choose." So for all these nonlinear misfits who have 8 arms, that book is wonderful. She calls them scanners, and she explains to people it's okay not to finish your project. You need not to finish the project in order to get somewhere. So continue starting new things without finishing that. She was wonderful.
I love that.
And she was telling about isolation being the biggest dream killer. And she told about her project in her life that she would bring scanners together, very nonlinear people, and she would ask, what is your biggest dream and what is stopping you? And the concept seems so simple, yet it's so complicated.
Yeah.
Because if it works, if you have a large group of nonlinear thinkers together and someone says, well, this is what I want to do, but this is what's stopping me, then there is a connection possible in that group of people. There's always a connection possible. And people, and that's the beauty. If I share a problem with you and I say, I can't clean my glasses for some odd reason, you start immediately thinking, as a nonlinear thinker, well, have you tried this or that? You know, we can't help ourselves. We're constantly thinking in solutions and ideas and whatnot. So if you bring a bigger group of people together, you can really support someone in achieving whatever that person wants to do.
Yeah.
I'm huge in manifesting. I think manifesting is awesome. For me, manifesting is very simple. There's just one sentence. It's there. And that's the end of the story. It's there. And that's my manifestation. But if you combine that with other people and you help each other that way, and that's how I created the founding members. Because in the beginning, people were asking me if we want to donate to the movement. Is that possible? How do you want it? And I thought, I need to do something with that. So now people can donate $200, 200 euros into the movement one time, not monthly subscription bullshit, one time donation, and you're a founding member for life. So now we have 64 nonlinear heroes, and these are professors at universities, right? Entrepreneurs, directors of movies. It's such an amazing group of people. And we come together once a month to hang out, and it's like a family dinner table. There's no schedule. It's 1.5 hours. There is no planning. I'm not thinking in advance, this is what I want to talk about.
Yeah.
Just start the room. We're there. It's like Sunday afternoon, all coming at home. And we're talking with each other. And if there's something we can do or something to solve for anyone, we will do it. You know, what do you need? Tell us. And that's building up, and that's becoming bigger and bigger. That's awesome. And it's really a family feeling. And I love that. And we have 60 something founding members now. We will go to 250 and then it stops. So the group will start at 250. And those are the founding members. And thanks to these people who made the donation, these are also the ones who made it all possible to do what I'm doing. You know, it's because of the effort of the founding members that I was able to keep going and keep doing this. This is a non-profit organization. I'm not getting any salary. I'm not getting any support of the governments. Nothing. This is purely donations and passion and wu wei, how we call that in China, effortless effort, keep going, and it's just wonderful. And these founding members are the world to me. It's beautiful
Yeah.
people. Yeah. That's a long answer for a short question.
No, I love it. And that's why I have no plan on this show, because that's how you get the best conversations is
Exactly.
by having no plan. But you saying how you say that in China, I had meant to ask you, how did you end up in China?
I was living the expat life. So back then I was still married, mother of my kids. I have 3 kids, beautiful, beautiful, amazing children.
Aww.
Thank you for giving me these beautiful children. And we were living in the Netherlands, and our second child was born, both premature. Boy, that was scary. The first one was born after 28 weeks. The second one was born after 29 weeks.
Oh my goodness.
Incubator, all the difficulty. And we said to each other, if we don't leave now, then we will forever be in the Netherlands. And then this is our lives. We're parents, we have 2 kids. And it will always be the same. So we need to leave now. And my wife back then was working for an American company, Mars, from the candy bars.
Oh, yeah.
And she said to them, she said, we want to go abroad. What's possible? And we ended up in Beijing, in China.
That is so cool.
And I had no idea back then. So I forgot. I ignored my dyslexia and my ADHD and everything. I just put it away aside. Don't talk about it because it's not convenient. But I was enjoying China so much, because everything was different. Everything was awkward. Everything was difficult. And there again, you saw that in the pandemic. You will see that now with AI as well. You have the people that are in that linear project system, and then things change and they get worried and anxious. And so I saw so many expats going to China being miserable because, oh dear, they couldn't buy any cheese anymore because they're in China, or deodorant, or seriously, this happened. I was talking to this American expats. He said, oh, I hate this country. I can't buy any deodorant in this country. And I said, look at the shelf there. There's your deodorant, woman. And it's ridiculous. But I was enjoying China so much. But it's because of my weird, wicked, nonlinear brain. I love a challenge. I've learned Chinese. I learned how to speak Chinese. I saw the TV format in Hong Kong. I was on the radio. I was doing things. I was driving my car. I was driving a taxi. Fuck yes, it was wonderful.
That is so cool. My husband is retired Navy, and years before we met, he was stationed in Japan, and he loved it. He would just get on the train and go places. And he would try to, he tells me stories about how he would get around, but he didn't know, hardly any of the language or anything, just things he picked up. But because of the stories of his adventures and him not being afraid. Now, mind you, most people in the military, too many of them, when they're in a foreign country, the first thing they want to do is find a McDonald's.
Exactly.
Or something like that. And he was the opposite. He wanted to experience it everywhere he went. And so by him talking about all his adventures he had over there, and he lived all over the world, but that, I believe, was his favorite place. Our daughter was obsessed with Japan from the time she was really little, and she ended up going to high school there, teaching herself to read and write Japanese, and then going to school over there. And it was awesome because she got to live totally immersed with a 3-generation family, the grandma, the parents, and the 2 daughters who were her age, like within a year or so.
I love that.
And that came from him. It didn't come from me. I mean, I'm adventurous in a different way than he is adventurous, but it's so cool when you see your kids kind of by osmosis have the world or whatever opened to them through your experiences, and then that sets them on a trajectory.
Well, it indeed so. And traveling makes you very curious. So that helps again. My daughter, Pieternel, that's her Dutch name, but her second name is Mei Mei because she was born in China. So she has a Chinese name. Wow. My other 2 kids are always teasing her that she was made in China. And we're always laughing about that. But I will never forget that I came into Beijing first night. Seriously, we landed. my wife and I were there, 2 kids, 2 little boys, right? Welcome to Beijing. Holy
Yeah.
shit. Everything is different, spells different, everything.
Yeah.
And we needed a little bed for the youngest one. It wasn't in the apartment. And I said to her, well, I will go to IKEA and go and buy a bed. So we landed in Beijing. An hour later, we were at the apartment. I went to the front desk. I said, I want to go to IKEA. Can you help me? She said, well, I'll get you a taxi. I will write down Ija, Chinese for IKEA, and off you go. So I went late in the evening. It was like almost like 10 in the evening. So I think it was 9. They closed at 10. It was 9. I drove to IKEA in a taxi, went into IKEA. I was laughing my ass off because it was exactly the same, only with the signs were different, of course, and a lot of Chinese people. So I found the bed, went to the register, paid for it, credit card, walked outside with a big box, went to the taxis, and I wanted to give them the card of the apartment building to go back. And they were like, no, 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 no. And I had no clue what was happening. So I was in the middle of Beijing, 10 in the evening, everything was closing with the big box, and everybody was saying no. I was like, what the fuck? And I had no cell phone because we just landed in China.
Yeah.
So I figured out that the box was too big for taxis. And then a Chinese dude came to me, and then more Chinese people came. A lot of Chinese people in Beijing, of course. And they were offering me to bring me home. They don't speak a word of English. So it's, how do you understand each other? Because you want to understand, you understand. So we bargained, we negotiated a price, and then this dude came with his car. Lisa, it was hilarious. It was like a Japanese car with the black lights underneath,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, and the spoilers, and he had the music on, and the whole car went. I was like, oh God, what am I going to do? So he put the box in the car. I wasn't even within the seatbelt, and he was like driving way too fast, loud Chinese music. I was like, oh fuck, what's happening?
That's
And then he drove off in the wrong direction, and I had to tell him, no, we need to go back, direction airport. Make a long story short, I got back home in the apartment building, and he even helped to set up the bed together so that the child could go to bed. That was day one in China.
What an
Awesome.
adventure. You literally had only been on the ground for a few hours and you already had your first crazy adventure where everybody else would have been hiding in their room and trying to figure out where they could get McDonald's or whatever y'all would have looked for.
Or be angry because you would expect them to have the bed ready for the child. And I was laughing and having fun thinking, I'm going to Egypt and I'm going to enjoy this.
That's funny. And you're right. Most people would have been angry. How dare them not have what I need?
Yeah.
You know, because we know it's all about us, right?
How linear, right?
Well, Perry, I have had so much fun having you on. And I want you to tell people how they can learn more about the Octopus Movement, how they can join the movement, and how companies can hook up with us to help them, their companies.
So please go to www.theoctopusmovement.org. You can register there, join us, become a member of the movement. It's all for free. You can join our think tank. You can just swim with other octopuses or octopi. I know the plural is octopuses, but I prefer octopi.
Yeah.
It's a more funny word, like mycelium. So you can join our monthly network events with all the other octopi. You can become a teacher, a specialist. You can do so many things. You can be in my book, Project 398, with 398 nonlinear thinkers, and I still have a few spots available. And companies who are interested, send me a message, link up with me on LinkedIn, or become a member. And you see on the website also the possibility to pick my brain. You go to pickmybrain.world and you book me. Let's have a chat. Whoever wants to talk with me, go to pickmybrain.world, book me for 20 minutes, and we will have a conversation on whatever. And if you want to sponsor the amazing nonprofit and all the good things we're doing, especially for kids in education all over the world, and help them to be accepted, please be our sponsor, and we will help you with our think tank. If you want to be a founding member, you can find everything on the website, but it starts with joining our movement, and that will help a lot.
And I will promise y'all, you will not regret it. You'll meet amazing people and you'll learn so much. And more than anything, you'll just have fun, right?
You will have, that's the most important and amazing thing. You're in a tribe of people that understand you no matter what, and you can be yourself, and we're free, and it's awesome, and you can do whatever you want to do, and we understand you. We will get you, and it's amazing to be together. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining me, Perry. I've been meaning to have you on forever, so I'm glad we finally worked.
This was the perfect timing, Lisa. Thank you so much.
Great.
I really appreciate it. And for all the people in the Octopus Movement that are watching this interview between you and me, your book is called...
Oh, Disrupt Your Now.
Exactly.
Disrupt Your Now. Yeah.
Yes.
So thank you, Perry. I always forget to do that. So thank you for making me remember.
Yeah. Thank you, Lisa.
All right, talk to you later and see y'all next week. Bye.
Bye, everyone.